Hello and welcome to Ewe Sew You. My name's Zoe and this is my channel all about the crafty bits and pieces I get up to. I knit, I sew, I spin on a drop spindle, I dabble in weaving from time to time, and anything else that takes my crafty fancy. Now this week we are talking about all the things I've been working on in January, so grab a brew, put your feet up and let's get started. Welcome back to any returning viewers, and to any new viewers a very warm welcome to you, and a particular welcome to those new subscribers that we've had over the past few weeks. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we're talking about things that I've been working on in January today. So without any further ado, let's get stuck right into it with what I am wearing. This is the Ranunculus by Midori. It's the second Ranunculus that I have knit. The first one was in a lace weight several years ago, and this one is in fingering weight. Just show you the bottom there. So it's a crop length sweater, so it sits just below my natural waist, which is a good length for me. And I did long sleeves. When I knit them pre-blocking, they did hit just to the wrist. I've done the sloped cuff on them. As you can see, they're not quite sitting on my wrist now, but that's fine because I do wear quite a chunky watch. So actually having them slightly shorter is a good thing. I do have them over a long sleeve tee today, so I am getting the lovely weird double cuff effect there. But you know what, it works. The colours kind of go together, it's not a problem. And I'm not leaving the house today, so that's fine. So yarns for this sweater. The top yarn is the giftable I got for Christmas from my dad and my stepmom. It's in Night Sky by Rosie's Moments. It was a giftable, which means she does mine into big gobstoppers and puts lots of notions inside. So as you're knitting, you've stitch markers and needles and all sorts of bits and pieces dropping out. There's some buttons in there, like buttons that you sew onto garments, and some of the badge buttons as well. So yeah, lots of stuff inside, and I even had a mini skein right in the middle of the ball as well. I don't know of any other yarn dyers that are doing something similar to that at the moment. I mean, there may be, I just haven't seen them. But it's a fantastic idea for gift yarn. And price-wise, it's in line with other indie dyed skeins, so you're not spending extra. But it is a really nice way of giving a gift to somebody. It's all sock yarn, so yay. So check out Rosie's Moments for that. This yarn, the bottom yarn, I got to coordinate with the Rosie's Moment yarn, but this is from a different supplier. This is from, if I just check my notes, George and Rose. So this is in the Viola colourway, and I do think it does work quite well faded into the blue one. So it's sort of semi-colour blocked because I have done a little bit of fading at the transition. It's not like a hard transition. And I have worn this a lot. I cast it on Christmas Day and finished it on the 15th-ish of January. And yeah, it's been worn to work a few times, been worn around the house quite a lot. So yeah, so the elbows have gone a little bit baggy, and the arm's gone a little bit fuzzy just because it's a looser gauge and it's getting lots of wear at the moment, but that's quite normal. Once it's been defuzzed and rewashed at some point, it'll all go back to normal and it'll be fine. I do find some yarns will pill and fuzz up a little bit initially, particularly in a looser gauge, but once they've been depilled, they're generally fine. They don't sort of pill up quite as much again, if at all. But regular depilling is not a bad plan for garment care anyway. I do have a gadget upstairs to do that with. So that's what I'm wearing and my first finished object. So let's have a little look at what else I got finished in January. Not a whole hell of a lot, essentially. I can't remember if I showed you my new look 6351 trousers last roundup. So I actually finished them in December, but they didn't go up onto the Minerva blog until January. So I will put a picture up of me wearing them, not just to show you them, but also to show you the t-shirt that is also New Look 6351. It's one of those wardrobe builder patterns. So trousers, t-shirt, skirt and jacket. I do have plans to make the jacket as well. The fabric that I've got is quite thin, so I am going to be doing a lining to go with it, and I'm going to be interlining it with like a quilting batting type thing to get a bit more structure and warmth to it. But the pattern is an unlined jacket, so I've been procrastinating. The pattern's traced and ready to go. I just haven't put it on the fabric because I'm procrastinating. I don't quite have enough of the fabric to do the full lining. I don't think in the same fabric as the outside, but that's okay because I want something a bit slippier in the sleeves anyway. And I do have some coordinating lining fabric that will work for that. So yeah, it's a bit of a modification that I'm doing on that. So yeah, I'm putting it off, but I need to get that done this month because that needs to go up on Minerva, otherwise I'll be late. So yeah, so the t-shirt and the trousers are on screen, either this side or this side, wherever there's space for it. The trousers are in a suiting fabric, so they've got a slight stretch to it. So yeah, they're fine. They're a pair of bog standard elasticated waist trousers. And I think if I made them again, I would put some stitching into the elasticated waistband. This is another garment I've worn a lot since I made it. I wear it to work almost every time. I only work 2 days a week, so I don't need many work clothes, as I'm not in the office most of the time. So yeah, elasticated waist is not my favourite, and the elastic has sort of curled over and gone a bit funny. So I think if I was to do it again, I would omit the drawstring and put some stitches into the elasticated waist, or change out the waistband completely for something with a zip in, so not elasticated. But I mean, otherwise they're fine. And given that I didn't properly check the fit around the crotch depth and what have you, they fit quite well. I could do with probably another ½ inch, maybe inch in the crotch depth, but it's not too bad. They're comfortable to wear because it's a slight stretchy fabric, so it's a bit forgiving there. The t-shirt I made out of a textured knit fabric. So both the fabrics are from Minerva. These are Minerva brand ambassador projects, as will the jacket be. And the fabric for the t-shirt, it was very, very sheer when it arrived. It's one of these really fine textured knits. So yeah, it wasn't something that I would be willing to do single layer to wear without anything underneath. You could put it over a vest and it would be fine. Some white cardigan would be great in it, that kind of thing. But for the t-shirt, I actually did it double layered. So I cut out 2 of everything, so double the amount of pieces, and just treated 2 as if they were 1. So 2 front pieces, and I treated them as if they were 1 piece of fabric. So it is a double layered t-shirt, and that means that it's no longer sheer, and I can quite happily wear it to work with the trousers, and it's not a problem. I don't wear it as much as the trousers because it's quite a thick cardigan. Cardigan? It's not a cardigan, it's a t-shirt. Words. I've not had enough coffee. It's here. I'm still drinking. Still my first cup of the day. So yeah, it's quite a warm t-shirt because it's got those 2 layers on it. So obviously it traps the air and insulates you, which is great for this time of year because it's not that warm at the moment. I mean, it's not as cold as it could be, but it's not that warm. And British weather being British weather, we're likely to have some chilly days when it's supposed to be summer as well. So yeah. So that's quite a versatile piece, and when I eventually have a pair of jeans that fit properly and I don't need to belt and whole saga with my shop bought jeans. That's why I persistently have jeans on my Make 9. I haven't got around to doing them yet, but they're there. But yeah, it'd be a nice versatile pattern when I have jeans that I'm happy with how they look at the fit at the waist. Because the t-shirt sits at sort of the top of where the trousers would sit. So yeah, so I'm happy with those. Just got the jacket to do. I'm not going to worry about the skirt. It's not my shape. But yeah, I'm happy with the trousers, happy with the t-shirt, and I'll be making the jacket as well. So that's the sewing finished objects, December-January combo there. So the next finished object that I'm going to show you, I actually did a video on how I made, which I will link here, and I'll put a picture up of me wearing it as well, because I'm not putting it on right now. And that is this headband, which I made with some leftover Cascade Heritage from my shawlography. So it's a really simple stocking stitch, 2 strands held together, little headband. just to keep my ears warm on those slightly chillier days. So again, this has had a bit of wear since I made it. Yeah, nice little simple versatile piece and a great way to use up some scraps. So that's that one. And yeah, that's my completely finished objects for January. I've got a nearly finished object here. Again, I've done a video on how I actually made this piece of work. This is a bit of loom bead weaving. I got as far as I could before I ran out of blue beads, and I don't want to change to a different colour scheme partway through. So I just need to work out what I'm going to use it for. And then I'll take it off the loom. Or if I decide I want to weave something else on it, I'll take it off the loom. But it's just sitting there for the time being, being nearly finished, waiting for a purpose. You know, aren't we all waiting for a purpose? Okay, so yeah, that's my nearly finished object. So yeah, for January's been a bit of a funny month for getting stuff done. I do have a few other things that I'm working on, and I've got a few plans of things that I want to be working on through February, for instance. But yeah, it's not been a month for finishing things. So, continuing the works in progress theme, let's start with this one that's in the background. I showed you this last month. This is a DMC kit where they print the pattern on the fabric for you. The thread that they include in it is moulin, which I haven't started using yet, and étoile. Étoile is a sparkle embroidery thread, which is these blues that I've put on. I think you can just about make up the difference, but here I've got some bits of printed stuff that's not being stitched over just yet, and the pink and the yellowy greens I haven't stitched on yet either. So this is a bit of a mindless cross stitch because it's all printed on the fabric anyway. I'm not going to refer to the chart for anything more than sort of rough guideline on how to shade things, because obviously the print doesn't sit the same on every piece of Ada. So this side of the skirt and the bodice of the dress has had all the blues stitched on, and I've just got that side of the dress to do the blues on, and then put the flowers and leaves on and a bit of back stitch to put stems in. So yeah, so that's not far from being done, and it's a good one for when I just don't want to concentrate on anything too heavily. Yeah, a nice little palette cleanser project. So hopefully I'll get that finished before I do another roundup. And then I can go back to my more complicated cross stitch that I haven't touched in over a year, that's sitting on the side waiting for me. It's all set up ready for the next quadrant, I just haven't done it. So that's this one. Okay, so she's going to get framed up when she's done and put up on the wall in wherever I end up crafting eventually. And there are... my stand is rocking behind me. There are about 3 others in the same series of kits from DMC. So the plan is to get the set, and then when I do eventually have my dream craft room that we're not even close to sorting out at the moment, I'll have a nice little set of beautifully dressed figures on the wall as decoration for the craft room. So that's that. The next thing I'm going to show you, I might also have shown you a bit of in the last month's roundup. Can't remember if I started it before Christmas or not, in December or not. But this is April 2021's square for my Game of Crafting Blanket Club. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with my year-long blanket project, that is probably going to be 2 years long by the time I'm done. I was signed up to Game of Crafting's Blanket Club last year. Sign-ups are already closed for this year's club. I'm not doing this year's club because I've still got last year's to knit up, or to crochet up rather. I'm using the Sophie's Dream pattern, which is based on Sophie's Universe. So if you go to the Look What I Made blog, you'll see all the variations from Sophie for different blankets and things. Now, I picked the pattern before I saw the yarn, because the yarn is it's a mystery yarn club, and I may have picked a different pattern if I'd have waited until I got the yarn. I mean, I could have changed the pattern when I got the yarn, but I was like, let's just go with it. There's a lot of detail in the Sophie mandala and the Sophie squares that make up all the Sophie variation blankets. So you can't really see all the detail in this particular yarn. All of the months so far, all the months I've worked up so far, I'm having the same issue. It's not really an issue. And the reason it's not really an issue is because the detail is textured. So you do get a nice sort of feel to the square. Even though you can't see the pattern necessarily, you can feel it. And if you're close up, you can see it. It's just from far you can't. So I will be working up 12 squares and stitching them together. Obviously this is square number 4. I am over halfway through, so hopefully that'll get finished soon. We will see. And the other thing that I've been working on in January is another long-term work in progress. And that is these socks. They are in Cascade Heritage, so it's a standard merino nylon yarn. It's a lovely soft yarn, it's a commercial yarn, so it's fairly affordable. And these are the Sweet Rose socks, which were part of Sock Madness last year. We're approaching Sock Madness this year, so I do need to get these finished and off the needles. There's not that much to go. I've got kind of half a diamond to do here, and then the cuffs, and then there's some embroidery in the pattern. So they'll be off the needles fairly soon. They're going to need to be because Sock Madness is coming up, and I am intending on doing Sock Madness later in the year. I will need to restock my sock yarn, but I generally wait until the list comes out for Sock Madness. They send you a list of the yarns, all the types of yarns for the patterns, because the patterns are mysteries, so that you can get prepared beforehand. So when that comes out, I will look at getting some affordable commercial sock yarn in for that, just to sort of top up what I've got. I used up most of my sock yarn stash between last year's Sock Madness and the shawlography, because the yarn that went into that was bought for Sock Madness last year. But yeah. So the designer for those socks is Atelier Midsummer's Eve, and a Cascade Heritage yarn. So that's all that I've been working on actually in January, so it's not that much. It's been a funny month, like I say. January's quite often are. So yeah, so plans moving forwards. Well, today is the 3rd of November, which means the Winter Olympics start tomorrow. And with the Winter Olympics starts Ravelenics. Now, I haven't done Ravelenics since it was the Ravelympics, before the Olympic Committee went, no, you can't use that term. That's too close. People might think we're the same thing. Because, yeah, knitting and sport. So similar. So yeah, so they've changed the name, and it's been a long time since I took part. I mean, I think it might have been the first year I joined Ravelry, so 2000 and not very much, long time ago. So yeah, so the idea is when it turns midnight in your local time zone, you cast on your projects for Ravelenics, or if you're doing the whip dancing category event, then you start finishing off your stuff. So hey, I've got some things I can do for that. And then you finish it at midnight the day that the Olympics ends. So you've got like 17 days, I think, something like that, to do your project. Now, I was hoping to tick off one of my Make 9 projects with the Ravelenics, which is the Terra Nova sweater. Now, I know this is quite ambitious. Lace and Fair Isle in the same project, and steeking. So lots of blocking as well as lots of knitting. So it's a bit of a tall order to get it done during that time window, realistically. But you never know. And if it actually gets me to cast the damn thing on, so much the better. So obviously I needed to get some yarn for it, because it needs steeking, so it needs to be yarn that is a good steeking yarn. I wasn't going to risk using something slippy. So I've ordered some pure wool yarn. I ordered it from Knit Picks for palette. There's 15 colours in this sweater, so it is not a budget sweater. I got it as budget friendly as I could, but when you're talking about that many colours, it's not a low cost sweater. Compared to like the other sweaters that I knit, because I will buy commercial yarn a lot of the time, and this sweater relatively low cost, even though it's indie dyed, because it's only 2 skeins. So yeah, so it's not the cheapest sweater that I've ever made, not the most expensive that I could make though, to be fair. If I was doing indie dyed yarn for sweaters, it would cost me a small fortune for a sweater because I'm not a little girl. So yeah, so the yarn is ordered from Knit Picks, and whereas I know in the past they have had a warehouse with some stock in the UK, they never stocked it with all of their line, and I don't know if they still got that warehouse anyway. So the yarn is coming from the States. It's not here yet. I'm allowed to cast on from midnight, but I do need to do 2 swatches for this sweater because lace and colour work. And yeah, it's not here yet. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that done. I mean, realistically, I don't know if I would get the whole sweater knit up anyway in that time. I mean, I'll give it a fair go. But we'll see. It has cleared customs at Heathrow, which is only 2, maybe 3 hours drive from here. So we're about 2 hours north of London. But it's not here yet. And I keep checking the tracking and refreshing the tracking, and it's still saying cleared customs at Heathrow. That happened yesterday. Yesterday afternoon it cleared customs, and I'm waiting. So if it arrives today, I will be swatching this evening. I won't be wet blocking my swatches, I don't think. Well, I mean, I could. Ooh, excuse me. No, I could wet block them. I should wet block them. Because you've got the lace and the fair art and they tie in together, you've got to get the gauge consistent with each other or it's just not going to match up. So yeah, I probably should wet block. Make sure that the gauges match. But at the very least I do need to swatch, even if I don't block them, so that I can work out what needles to use, because yeah, gauge is going to be very, very, very important on that sweater. So yeah, so hopefully, fingers crossed, that gets to me today, but I'm thinking it might be tomorrow. But yeah, I do have some whips I can finish, so I can at least do some whip dancing. So the Ravel NX, for those who aren't familiar, basically there's lots of categories that you can enter projects into for medals, they're digital medals, and you can get laurels for specific skills and things. And they're things like whip dancing is anything that you had already started that you want to finish. Sweater skeleton is the one that I was going to do the Terra Nova for, and that's kind of thing. So all the categories are themed around Winter Olympic sports. Okay, so yeah, so enough waffling about that particular project that may or may not happen. Okay, so I also have plans to get moving on my tapestry weaving. I'm on the last section of the project that I showed you a little while ago. Haven't touched it in a month or two, but I do want to get it finished so that I can start a new project, which I want to do like a little mini series on, so that you sort of weave with me, as it were. And I'm not a master weaver, it has to be said. I am relatively new to tapestry weaving, but I think watching somebody who is new is not harmful if you are learning, as long as you sort of are aware that they're new to the skill, because I will make mistakes and I will have to work out how to fix them, and that is helpful when you're learning, knowing how to fix mistakes. So there's that's planned. Hopefully I'll be able to get some of that done towards the end of February, maybe. Hopefully a bit earlier, because I would like to get that series started. I also have my spinning project, my DK spin. I need to get going on. I haven't touched it for a little while, and I know people are asking about part 2 of my DK spin video. It will come. I haven't finished the first single yet. I need to do 3 before I do that next video, so that I'm ready to do that bit, because the next bit will be putting the plies together, and seeing if I've actually managed to get a DK weight. So yeah, so I do need to get cracking with that as well. So I've got a few plans, and I've got a few projects that are on the go, and I'm stalking the postman, well, the DHL guy, because it's coming by courier. But, yeah. Fingers crossed my yarn comes today. At the very least, it will be here by the time I do my next roundup, and I should have cast on. May not be finished, but I should have cast on. But, we'll see how it goes. But that's all I have for you this week. I aim to put a video up every weekend. It's usually a Saturday, but sometimes it's a Sunday. Very occasionally it might be a Friday if I'm super organised. But yeah, usually Saturday. Once a month it's a roundup of what I've been working on the previous week, and in between times it's usually something a bit more project-based or skills-based. I mean, it could just be me waffling at the camera for a bit. But yes, you get quite a variety on this channel. If you like spending time with me, like and subscribe and ding the bell and all that stuff down there. And I will see you next time. Until then, happy crafting and bye-bye for now.